If you're 55, 65, or 75 and you're choosing between ChatGPT and Claude, well, the famous one is not automatically the right one for you. Well, both are chatbots. A chatbot is a program you type plain question into in your own words, and it writes back to you in an answer. Pick the wrong one, and you don't just lose money, you lose something worse. You quietly decide these tools are not for people like you and I, and then you stop. Earlier this year, Pew Research asked more than 5,000 Americans about these tools. Among people 50 to 64, about 4 in 10 already use them. So you're not late. By the end of this, you'll be able to test both of them yourself and know which one is yours. Not my pick, yours. I'm going to give you the whole map right now so you always know where you are. There are 3 tests: patience, plain English, and honesty. That's the entire video. 3 tests, 1 at a time, and then 10 minutes of homework that you can do tonight. And 1 honest thing so you know what you're getting. Both of these change every few months, so I'm not going to hand you a name that expires. I'm going to hand you 3 tests that do not. I use both of these every week in my own work, and I judge them the way that you would judge a helper you let into your home, and the way the tech reviewers do. So one thing about me, so that you know who's talking. I'm Hanh Brown. I spent my days inside the details of AI, aging, Medicare, and Social Security, the ones that most people find dull, so that they reach you in plain English. These tools are starting to touch real decisions in our week, and the people they touch hardest are the ones nobody bothers to explain them to. So now, here's what makes this confusing in the first place. So when Pew Research asked which of these people had actually tried, among those 65 and older, 19 of 100 had used ChatGPT. In Claude, 1 out of 100, that's 19 to 1. That number is real, and it's not a score. Nobody held a contest. That's a name recognition, and one of these names reached you, and the other one did not. And the bigger storefront always gets the foot traffic, whether or not the better help is behind the counter. So if you have only heard of one of them, that's not your fault. And let me say some of you 15 minutes. If you already use one of these every day and you are happy, so this is not for you. If you came for coding speed or benchmark scores, also this is not for you. This is for the person standing at the door, deciding whether to walk in and which door. So now, before the 3 tests, 30 seconds on why this door is different from every computer thing that came before. For most of my life with computers, you had to learn the machine's language, the menus, the right buttons in the right order, the little codes. That's what shut so many of us out and made us feel slow when we were not. These flipped it. Now, the machine learns your language. If you can type a text message to your grandchild, you already have the whole skill. The door that was closed to a lot of us for 30 years just quietly opened, and it is not what you have been told is behind it. It's not the search tool. It's not a party trick for the grandkids. AARP looked at this. Among people over 50, use of AI nearly doubled in a year, from 18% to 30%. That is one survey, 1 year. So keep that in mind. So here's one that moved me the most. The Kauffman Foundation looked at who was starting new businesses, and this is the research from just before the pandemic. So treat it with a direction and not a headline. A bigger and bigger share of the new businesses in this country were being started by people in their late 50s and 60s. More than a quarter of new founders, up from about 1 in 7 a generation earlier. And the thing that always stopped so many of them was the overhead, the bookkeeper, the assistant, the person to write the website, the money you did not have yet, and the help you could not afford yet. That is the exact wall these take down. So let me answer the question that you are actually weighing, which is whether you should just leave this alone. You can. Nothing bad happens tomorrow. here is what it costs instead. The letters keep sitting in the drawer. The thing you have been meaning to start stays a thing you have been meaning to start. And in a year or two, the people around you will be using plain words and to get answers you are still hunting for. And that gap will not feel like a technology problem. It will feel like a confidence problem. That's the real price of waiting. It's not quiet, which is exactly why nobody names it. And you do not have to be clever to get a good answer out of one. You tell it who you are and what you need in one honest sentence. I'm in my 60s, so explain this the way you would to a smart friend who is not a doctor. Or help me write the first email to a supplier. I have never done this before, so keep it warm and short. That one honest sentence is the whole trick. So all right, test 1 of 3. Patience. Does it answer the question you actually ask at a human pace, or does it bury you? The next 3 are illustrations, so you know what you're watching for. So picture them. All right, it is 8 at night. The house is finally quiet, and you type out a messy, tangled first version of an idea you have been carrying around. In your own words, a patient partner takes that tangle and hands it back as 2 or 3 clear next steps, still in your language, and ask which ones you want to start with. An impatient one buries you. 40 bullet points, 5 new words that you have nowhere to look up, and someone you feel smaller than when you sat down. Same request, 2 completely different feelings. Here's how you score it, and you do not need 1 bit of expertise. Did you stand up taller than you sat down? That's patience, and that's test 1. Test 2 is the most important people never think to run, and it is the one that will decide this for you. Plain English. Could you read the answer out loud to a neighbor and have them understand it? And I know exactly where to test this. That letter, you know exactly the one, the thick one, from the insurer or from Medicare, printed small, written by a committee with the one sentence that actually matters to your money hidden somewhere in the middle. The kind that sits unread in the kitchen drawer. And let me be clear, that is not laziness. That's completely reasonable response to a document that was not written for a human being. So picture handing it over with one plain request. Read this and tell me what it says and what I should do next. Your AI, in plain English, answers like a kind neighbor who happens to know the system. So here's what they are telling you. Here is the one date that matters. Here is the single thing to do, and here is the number to call. The other kind just reshuffles the same fog into fresh paragraphs, and you still cannot tell if you owe money or not. Here's how you score it. Could you read that answer out loud to someone across a kitchen table, and would they understand it? If yes, that's your one. That's test 2. Now, test 3, and this is the one that separates a helper from a hazard. Honesty. When it does not know something, does it say so, or does it make something up with a straight face? Let me say this part slowly. What a tool like this gives you is general information, the kind a good librarian could hand you. It's not medical advice, and it's not financial or legal advice. No chatbot is your doctor, your pharmacist, your accountant, or your lawyer. So picture asking it something close to the bone, something about a medication or a tax rule or a line in a contract. The honest one gives you the general picture, and then it does the bravest thing a machine can do. It says, this part is above what I should answer. Take it to your pharmacist or to your accountant or to your lawyer. And here are the sharper questions to walk in with. So you're not starting from nothing. The one that fails puts on a white coat and answers like, it's a doctor. And that's exactly the one you cannot trust. Because a tool that will not admit a limit will not warn you when it's wrong. That's test 3. Patience. Plain English, honesty, 3 tests, and you have them all now. So now the 3 things that you've been silently weighing in while I talk. the money. Both have a free version, and that's exactly where I would start with. And it's what most of us should be using. If you ever want the higher limits, both sell a paid plan for around $20 a month, about what one dinner out costs, and most of you will not need it for a good long while. And you do not even have to type anymore if you would rather not. Both of them let you just talk out loud, and they answer you back. So for anyone whose eyes or hands are not quite what they were, that changes everything. Second, what this costs you, and I would rather say it out loud than let you find it, it costs you a habit. For the first 2 weeks, you will forget the thing is there and do it the hard way out of muscle memory. It costs you about 10 minutes to run the test that I'm about to hand you. But if you outgrow the free version later, it's $20 a month that you were not spending before. So that's the whole bill. Third, and this one should let your shoulders down. Nothing here is locked in. This is not Social Security. There is no form, no window, no penalty, no waiting period. You can use one for a month, decide that it's not for you, and then open another tomorrow. Nothing follows you. That is why you can make this decision fast and lightly, and why waiting until you are certain is the only move here that actually costs you something. One more thing before I hand you the 10 minutes. And it's the most important sentence I know about these machines. Both of them can be wrong while sounding completely sure of themselves. It happens. And the confidence is exactly what makes it dangerous. So the rule never changes. The machine explains. A human you trust confirms. You decide. Your own judgment is the one tool on this desk that does not have a competitor, and it never will. So sit with that, because it's the most hopeful thing I know about all of this. These machines get faster every few months. The thing they cannot get is the thing you already have, the years, the judgment, knowing in your gut when something feels off. As these tools get smarter, that part of you does not become worthless. It becomes worth more because it's one part they cannot copy. So the 10 minutes. This is the thing I promised you at the start. I'm not going to hand you a single name. And anyone who hands you one name without asking a thing about your life is selling you something. Here's what I would do instead. Open the AI chatbots, the free version of each. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. There are multiples in multiple tabs. Then take one real thing out of your own week and hand the exact same thing to all of them. If that lands on your table is letters, forms, and paperwork, hand each of them that letter and ask what it says and what to do next. If you're building something, the little business, the book, the big trip, hand each of them the same first step. Then read the answers side by side and run the 3 tests. So which one answer what you actually asked? Which answer could you read out loud at your own kitchen table? And which one told you where its own limits were? Keep that one. Close the other tabs. 10 minutes is enough to feel whether there is a difference for you. And if you're stuck on what to hand them, make it whatever you have been carrying around longest. The letter you keep not opening, the project you keep not starting, or just the tangle you keep turning over at night. Any one of those 3 works, because what you are choosing tonight is not a tool. It is one real thing you test them with. And that's not a brand name. That's better. That is the rule you can still use next year. Because these tools will change. And by next year, one of them may have jumped ahead of the other. Any single name I gave you today would have a date stamp on it. Patience, plain English, honesty. That's the part you keep. And it means that you never have to take my word or anyone else's again. You just watch how the tools treat you, and you will know. Tell me one thing in the comments. What is one thing you would hand a partner like this? The letter that you've been dreading, the project you've been sitting on, or the question that you have been a little afraid to ask? Thanks for spending time with me. I'm Hanh Brown, and this is The Hanh Brown Show. If you want more of this AI, policy, and aging, subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one.